Good morning, friends. My name is Prashant Ajmera. I'm the lawyer based in Gujarat in Ahmedabad and specialize into the residency, citizenship, and immigration law. I assist the family for planning their children's educations, and I'm also a Canadian citizen. But today I'm going to speak about the legal complexities of organ donation and transplant in India. When somebody will ask me why I'm speaking on this subject, well, when you hit this kind of medical emergencies is coming into the families, and then you look into all this legal complexities, and then you realize that how complicated this law is and how many people are being affected by this legal organ donations and transplant law in India. So I'm going to go through the very quickly slides and give you an overview that what is happening, and I'm going to take one example of the state of Gujarat because I'm based in Gujarat and what we have faced and what I'm sure that a lot of other uh, patients who needs the kidney transplants or some other organ transplants are facing the similar problems. So first and foremost, when we talk about the organ donation and transplant issues, we talk about the awareness, donations, cadavers, and a live one. We need a support group for patients and families. Financial assistance is required because it's very, very expensive. Hospitals and medical facilities needs to be improved, and there should be more and more hospitals. Organ donation and transplants regulated, and new laws and regulations created more issues. So on first five topics, there is a lot of work being done and still more needs to be done. But I think in the long time, nobody has talked about the laws and rules and regulations affecting to the organ donations and transplants, and particularly for a kidney. And that is what I'm going to talk in this one to give you an overview. Idea is to create an awareness about this law, which is creating a more and more problem for the families and patients who are either trying to donate or who are trying to receive the organ either through the live donations or through the cadaver donations. So that's what we're going to talk on this one. So what is the legal framework of the organ transplant? The legal framework is that the central government of India come up with the act known as the Transplantation of Human Organ Act in 1994 by the government of India. And under this rule, the transplant of human organs and tissue rules were made in 2014. There were certain changes were made over the period of time in this one, but these are the two act and regulations in India. And the main purpose was to curb the illegal activities happening in the organ transplants and donations, and also to stop the trafficking or smuggling, you can say, and also stopping the any financial transactions in this kind of system for the organ donations and transplants. So under this act and regulations, the government of India's the medical health department is there, and then there is a director of health services is there, director general of health services, under which the NOTO, National Organ and Tissue Transplant Organization, is created, in which is based in New Delhi. Underneath, we have a 5 regional ROTO, or regional organ and tissue transplant organizations based in Chennai, Mumbai, Kolkata, Chandigarh, and Guwahati. And under each regional organizations, you have a state organization. So in India, we have 28 such state organizations. And underneath, you have hospitals who are in a position to retrieve the organ and also do the organ transplant. Then you have hospitals who can only retrieve it, and they are the hospitals who are just doing the regular testings and work like that one. So this is how the whole network is established or done it. Most of the SOTO or state organ tissue transplant organization is with the state own civil hospitals in a particular state, or a capital of the state is there. Like, for example, in Ahmedabad, it is the civil hospital, kidney civil hospital is there. So these are the 5 regionals ROTO, and under which states are covered under that one, that is mentioned here. the legal framework for the Gujarat, based on this Transplantation on a Human Organ Act of 1994 by the government and these rules 2014, the government of Gujarat took a very good decisions in adopting this act and rule in Gujarat. And on the dated 14th March 2019, the government of Gujarat has come up with the transplantation guideline, which is known as Gujarat Diseased Donor Organ and Tissue Transplant Guidelines, or known as G.DOT guidelines. Uh, Under these guidelines, the government of Gujarat has established the State Advisory Committee, and which basically for the organ and tissue transplant, and what is their functionality? Basically, advising the Ministry of Health of the government of Gujarat to on the issues of the or matter related to the organ and transplantations. Then there is a State Appropriation Authority Committee is there, and then the third one is State Organ and Tissue Transplant Organization is there. So there are three different authorities are created for three different purposes. In Gujarat, the IKRDC or IKS hospital in Ahmedabad is the headquarter of the SOTO and works with the regional Roto KEM hospital in Mumbai and ultimately into the national. So the idea of the government of India was to create a national based the organ registries and the network of the hospitals and the patients help, means it can help the patients, and more hospitals can get involved into this ones, and more patients can benefit rather than going to the south in India's or going to the Bombay or going to the Delhi or different big cities, but it can be done. So responsibility of the SOTO is primarily is to create a computerized statewide list, wait list of organ donation and distributes among the hospitals. The SOTO, the appointment of the convener of the SOTO and his responsibility. So what is the state organ tissue transplant organization's responsibilities? They will maintain a computerized list known as Gujarat Network for Cadaver Organ Sharing and will share organ received from the hospital as per the guideline of the government of Gujarat. However, even after 3 years of the implementation, not as per the Organ Donation Act and rules, the portal is created where they can provide a systematic the registration number, not the personal informations that cannot be shared, but the government of Gujarat and the SOTO has failed to create a websites where the patients and their family can say that what is their registration number and what is their waiting number in a state list is there. When we approach the other state governments, we have come to know that the most of the states in Gujarat, apart from the Gujarat, have not implemented this kind of an open portal. 3 or 4 states are there that they have created the open portals whereby the registration number of the patient is there and his waiting number is there, and then he can see that in my blood group, particularly in kidney, how many patients are before me, how many patients are after me, who are getting this one, and so on and so forth. So it is very important for the patients and the family to know that what is their waiting number is there, and probably they can make an estimate that how long it's going to take. So my request to the government of Gujarat and the other state in India would be to implement a consistent portal whereby the patient can see these informations about their registration number and the waiting number. But no such thing has been created. Creations, para 3 of the guidelines provides for the creating of a portals platform for the Gujarat network for cadaver organ sharings, which will be established, operated and maintained by convener, but no such thing has been done, as I mentioned. And the hospital shall become member and NGO can also join. This para also mentions how portal will be created and says the success of this program depends on the organ donation and transplants depends on these portals. But even after 3 years, and even the government of Gujarat has made an MOU with the government of India, the government of Gujarat has not created this portal, which can give a more transparent information to the patients and patient families and other people as well. So that's what they've not done in allocation of the organ or distribution systems procedures. the para 13 of these guidelines of the SOTOs and convener who and how the hospital and patient will receive the organ under the cadaver systems is mentioned. The allocations of the cadaver organ and distribution systems procedures is provided in one hospitals for a patient to register, and a hospital is changed, then priority is lost. The guideline of the government of Gujarat provides in para 13.7 that patient has to register with the hospitals if they want to register into the cadaver list, and you cannot change the hospitals. Again, this is in violations of the section 314 of the B of the Transplant and Human Organ Rules of 1995, which allows the change of hospitals. And it has been allowed in the law or the original act of the government of India with a very specific intention in the mind that the patient may move from one place to the another place. The doctor with whom they are taking a treatment, they might move. The facilities of the hospitals may change. So with and a variety of other reasons, the patient is allowed to change the hospital without losing the priority in the state organ transplant means organ cadaver list. But the government of Gujarat has decided, looks like it's against the interest of the patient. The SOTO committee has forget to take the considerations, the priority of the patients, but looks like that they have looked into some other aspect of fixing these regulations, which requires to be changed. So allocation of the cadaver organ distribution systems and procedures. Para 13.8 provides for two separate lists, one for the government grant and grant in aid hospital list, and the second for the private hospitals and organ donation list. However, no such provision is provided in the central government act and rules. So looks like that even though the government of Gujarat has agreed with the central government act and rules to implement in Gujarat, but now the government of Gujarat, without having adopting the act or a rules, just by the guideline which is created probably by some bureaucrats, is working against the original act and the rules of the central governments, and looks like that requires a revisit and needs to change or needs to made, because I think the reading through these rules, it looks like that the health department of Gujarat government and SOTO has forgot the main priorities, that the whole idea of the act was to stop the illegal transactions of the organ donations and transplants, and the patient's health and safety is a priority. But looks like the other criteria has been taken into considerations in establishing these rules. In fact, the section 13.14 of the rule provides for the following priorities: that it should be a state list for a whole of Gujarat. There should be a one list, regional list, national list, person of Indian origins, and then the foreign list. That's how the list should be created. But rather than that, the government is the SOTO, the State Organ Tissue Transplant Organization, is creating a list the way in which they like it. Allocation of the cadaver organ distribution systems and procedures. The cadaver donations to the government hospitals, para 1310A1 provides for another priority list for government hospitals. If the donor is deceased in that hospital will get a preference. The next para A4 further provides for the allocation of kidney or the organ number 1, 3, and 5 to the government hospitals, and number 2 and 4 to the common pool or a non-government hospital. Non-utilized organ will go in a common pool. This is based on a 5-point roster system. Looks like the bureaucrats who were framing or who were writing these rules, probably they are more familiar with the government jobs and the promotions. And based on that one, that roster systems they have implemented in the organ transplants and organ donations. Guys, people, government of Gujarat, have a sympathy towards the patient who is going through the major medical problem in his life. Family is going through the mental tensions, financial tensions. And the whole object of this act is to stop the illegal transactions. But looks like that they are using their own 2 paisas worth, their own wisdom, to the reason best known to them, to basically create their own rules and regulations and procedures for the citizen of Gujarat. And this is not helping, but rather creating a more and more legal problem for the organ donors and the organ recipients. Allocation of the cadaver organ distribution system procedures. 1310B provides for the hospitals can use their own disease donor for a waitlisted patients, and if not used, organ will go to the common pool. And again, common pool, first come, first serve basis, but only after about utilization of the government and private hospitals. The para C2 makes mandatory to have a domicile or residency certificate in a list. This is the major problem created by these guidelines of the government of Gujarat, and it has been adopted and implemented in other states as well without understanding the original object of the Organ Donations and Transplant Act and rules. And that's where it's creating a problem, because you can understand that if you need a domicile, so in the Gujarat states, you have 10 years of requirements to stay in Gujarat continuously before you get a domicile. And if you don't have a domicile, and if you need to register for a kidney transplant, then they will not register it. The good news is that the 3 petitions were filed in the Gujarat High Court, and just on 21st of November, just 1 week back, 21st of November 2022, the government of Gujarat, these guideline regulations are declared illegal by the Gujarat High Court by giving a detailed judgment of 119 page, which is widely available on the government of Gujarat, the Gujarat High Court website, and also it was publicized in the media as well, in Times of India, Gujarat Samachar, and as well. I'll talk more about the domicile rules further in my presentation. Allocation of the cadaver organ distribution system and process provides that after using organ by the public and private hospital, the patients died and donated will go to the common pool for cadavers. However, Para D provides after above utilization to the ROTO and SOTO, but no provision for person of Indian origins or OCI card holders and foreigners. So the Gujarat government has just created a one list for the people of citizen or resident of Gujarat. So if you are living in Gujarat as from the out of a state, out of the country, or as a foreigner, and if you need an organ transplant or if you need to register for that one, it is not available. The Gujarat government is trying to go over and above the regulation requirements, even beyond the Article 21, which is guides the your fundamental right to life, which includes the life to the medical treatment. So, I mean, is the Gujarat government are trying to give a message to the people of Gujarat, the NRG, that your dollar is welcome in India, in Gujarat, but if you need a kidney, if you need an organ transplant, if you need the facilities, you are no more a citizen of Gujarat or a resident of Gujarat, you go back to your home country. Is this the message Gujarat government is trying to convey to the NRGs and the citizens who are here? Even with the domicile requirement, what is mentioned, imagine that you are living in a Gujarat and you go to the other states for a 2-3 years and come back. And now you or your family members need a organ transplant and you need to register with the hospital. And you are not domiciled because you have not lived 10 years continuously. So you cannot register. So what kind of system the government is going to create is just confusing. I spoke to a number of doctors, patients, and the other people in the last 6 months, and they were all shocked to hear this regulatory requirement of the government of Gujarat. Now, from where these domicile rules are coming, That is also very interesting. Even though we have been gotten independence since last 75 years, we are still following that British rules of the domiciles. And surprise, surprise, in on resolution dated 1st November 1994, the original domicile rules were prepared by the British government for the Bombay Civil Service classification and recruitment rules. When we become an independent in 1947, the resolutions were adopted on 27th November 1950. Then rules were made to change in the Indian constitutions, and rules were determined to citizenship of India and to determine the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes and declare communities and provides a special privilege and rights given under the Indian constitutions. That is the reasons this domiciles rule was created for the whole of India. But when the government of Gujarat became a separate state on 1st May in 1960, that's where we adopted, the government of Gujarat, this adopted this domicile rule. And primarily this domicile, or rather domicile is not a right word to use. Domicile can be only of a whole of in India, but the right word to use is residency. And under these residency rules, it was created to give the people the state benefits to the scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and other people for the government jobs, government promotions, the medical admissions, engineering admissions. And for this reason, this domicile stroke residencies rules were created, and they are still there. Now, the same rule are being used to determine the domicile or residency of the people, whether they can register in the state government cadaver kidney registry or not. So and that the Gujarat government requires that you should be staying in Gujarat for a period of 10 years. And in that 10 years, if you are not staying, it's too luck. So now an Indian citizen who has never gone out of India, but he has moved from one state to the another states, where this person will go if this domicile or residency requirement is created by the government of Gujarat and other states as well. I'm just taking an example of the Gujarat government because I'm based in Gujarat and I have gone through these rules and regulations, and I have fought in the Gujarat High Court as well, where these people will go. So these rules are there. I don't need to go into the details of this ones, but I've given you an idea that now in order to get your domicile certificate or residencies, you need to be staying continuously for a period of 10 years. And then only you can be registered. Now, what is the implications of this ones? I mean, I don't know why the government of Gujarat has not even thought through this one. Probably they implemented these rules in a hurry or some reason best known to them. So circular dated 17th March 2011 provides for the 10 years of stay can be waived if person is born in Gujarat and gone out of Gujarat for a study. This was medical and engineering students who has gone to Kota or other cities for their 11th and 12th studies. So these domicile rules of the each states, which is not correct word to use. Again, I'm repeating, the correct word to use is a residency. Even the Supreme Court has said in one of the judgment that domicile in India can be of only one state, one country, that is India's domicile. It can be a residency of a state, and that residency of a state, you can see here, every state has a different year requirement. In Gujarat, it's 10 years. Maharashtra is 15 years. Rajasthan, 10 years. Tamil Nadu, 10 years. Karnataka, 6 years. Kerala, 10 years. Andhra Pradesh, 10 years. Madhya Pradesh, 5 years. Domicile requirements in other states. Punjab, 10 to 15 years. Haryana, 15 years. Telangana, you should have a land and 7 years. Uttarakhand, 15 years and permanent home. Uttar Pradesh, 3 years and permanent parents or an applicant should be from there. In Assam, it is land ownership plus 10 years, and parents or grandparents should be there for 50 years. And now this state government of each and every states in India is trying to use this domicile or a residency rule to determine whether the person can register for the cadaver registry or not, for the organ transplant or organ donations, to receive an organ Can they register into this one? No, they cannot. You can imagine that the 30% of the Indian populations, Indian citizens, are living out of their home state. A person is born in Punjab but now is working in Delhi, or person is born in Delhi but now working in Bangalore. So 30% of population is out of the states. And the government wants to implement, the state government wants to implement this domicile rule to register in the organ donation registry. The law says very clearly that in India, it is a national registry. You can register only at a one place. That's about it. But no, the state government wants to implement the rules for their own state people. Are we not citizen of India and not the citizen of Gujarat or citizen of Maharashtra or Punjab? That's come seconds. Real examples. A company employee in India moved to Gujarat in 2015. Unfortunately, this gentleman is received a kidney problems in 2020 during the corona time, and he need to register for the kidney transplant. He made an application to the Ahmedabad police for the domicile certificate because that was required by his hospital to register him in this cadaver registry. And he received a reply from this commissioner's office that as you have not lived in Gujarat for a period of 10 years, we cannot be registered. We cannot register you. The second example is a village in Gujarat, now in Madhya Pradesh. A lady is living in a border village, which used to be a part of Gujarat when she was born, but now that village is no more in Gujarat, but it's into the Madhya Pradesh. So there is no way that she can meet the domicile requirement. She needs a liver. And the government of Gujarat's using this domicile guideline rules, it's a guideline. Using that one so-called rules and authorities, they refuse to give him a domicile and she cannot be registered for her liver transplant. And she's also facing a difficulty. There is another case about the OCI card holder lady. She's a citizen of another country and living in India on OCI card since 2009. She applied in June of this year for the OCI card for the domicile with the government of Gujarat and the Ahmedabad police, and she was also refused. Fortunately, all these three cases went to the Gujarat High Court, and on 21st of November 2022, High Court of Gujarat declared the domicile requirement by the government of Gujarat is illegal. And the height of this whole thing was that the government were defending their stand of domiciles for almost 1 day of full argument by the government pleader. Likely example who may need domicile for organ transplant and may not get it. Mr. Narendra Modi. We all know that Honorable Narendra Modi is from state of Gujarat. He is living in now Delhi since 2014. God forbid if he needs or his family member needs an organ and they need to register for the cadaver registries, where they will go. Our health ministers of the central government, Mr. Mansukh Mandaviya, he's not in Gujarat, he's from Gujarat, now living in Delhi. Same problems. All the MPs who are in Delhi, IS officers, IPS officers, and such central government officers who can keep changing their transferable jobs every 3 years or 5 years, they have been changed. So where their domicile will they receive it, or somehow they will manage it. All the High Court judges and Supreme Court judges who are being transferred from one High Court to the another High Courts. Armed force and central government employees, they get transferred. Employees of the Indian multinational companies, they get transferred from one state to the other state. Migrant workers, we know that the large number of people from UP and Bihar and Jharkhand and other states go and look for a job in other states, where they will go and how they will get domicile certificates if they themselves or their family members need domicile certificates. all those who have moved for a jobs or a business from their home states, all will be affected. So you can imagine that the 30% of the populations of in India who is living out of their home states, and if they need a domiciles for the purpose of the organ cadaver registries, where they will get it. The Transplantations of Human Organ Act and rules by the government of India. There's different states domicile and residency requirements divides the India into 28 countries. Now, if this rules is not changed on all over India basis, what is going to happen? That before I move to another state, I have to think that do I need, or probably my parents or my relatives needs the kidney transplants or organ transplants, where they will go, what they will do it. Should I not make my decisions to move because I may not get a domicile, and if I have medical emergencies, what will happen to me? Live transplants between relatives. Up till now, what we talked about is a transplants between the person who needs a kidneys or some kind of an organ and the person who is a brain dead or a death, and his or her family has decided to donate the organ, and it is received by the person who is waiting in the list. But also there is another way the person can receive a organ, particularly kidney and in some cases liver, when there is blood relatives like parents, children's brothers and sisters, or husband and wife. So this is known as a live donations. And for these live donations also, the new rules provides the lot of rules and regulations and document requirements. Probably it is necessary, it should be there, but there should be a consistency and it should be less cumbersome for the patients and patients' families. I'll just give you an example. You need to provide a list of documents and go before the ethics committee to prove your relationship and how that and show that there is no financial transactions. But if 5% or 10% of the peoples are involved in this illegal activity, why the 90% of the people need to suffer? And if that is what it is required to stop that one, then it has to be done in a systematic and professional way with the heart, that how can we make this one easy for their families. But no, when they are government officials, bureaucrats, they want to show their authority and they keep pretending that we are doing in the best interest of the patients and the families. I don't think so. I have personally gone through this ones and they do not make it easy for you at all. They do not make it, neither the hospitals, neither the government departments, neither the SOTOs. Nobody has even a sympathy for a minute, even to say a two good words to you. They are just bang on to implement their law and rules and regulations. So they do not come into the fault that if something goes wrong, we should not held responsible. So this is the hospital in Gujarat, gives you a list of documents. These many documents you need to prove. Any and every documents, what comes in their mind, they will ask you. That when you have a sister to sisters means donations or brother to brothers donations, these are the documents you have to provide. Every possible documents which can be asked for is asked by the hospitals and their coordinators, who are probably not having a legal backgrounds, who are not experienced in this ones. They are just doing these things as they go along and asking for the documents and affidavits and declarations for as much as you can possible or imagine to do all this work. This is the hospital in Maharashtra who are asking for the list of documents. So basically, what is happening is that the government of India started with the organ transplants regulations with the good intention to stop the financial transactions and create a network of the organ transplants and donations across India. But just like this whisper game, Chinese whisper game, as the central government brought the Noto and then it went to the Soto and then to the state hospitals and eventually the patients and family, I can say very easily that every hospital in India who is doing the organ transplants and the donations, transplant operations, whether it is a cadaver or whether it is a live, the requirement and interpretation of the law is different from place to place, from hospital to hospital. Even within the city of Ahmedabad, I have met the 5 to 6 different hospitals, and their all interpretations is different. And they all suspect that every patient who is coming for an organ donation and transplant is doing a smuggling of or illegal activity of the organ donation and transplants. They every case they see as a possible fraud. The irony is that the government issued documents. The foreign government is issuing our visa to us, giving a permanent residency to us, giving a citizenship to us, like a country like a USA, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. We have a large number of Indians who are in the other country. And they do not ask for this kind of a documents and affidavit after affidavits, which has been asked by the hospitals because the ethics committee or SOTO is asking, and then is just creating. But our own people with our own documents, which is in a local language, they have a hard time, or probably they do not wish to understand. They want to create it difficult, because I think one of the reasons they're making it difficult, my understanding is, I may be wrong, that the responsibility is put on the hospital, that if we find that these transactions of the organ operations for the organ transplant was not done, and there was some financial transaction was there, or it was not between the two relatives, or whatever it is, the hospital would be held responsible. And because of this responsibility, central government gave it to the Noto gave it to the Soto, and then it is given to the hospitals. The only person who is suffering in this whole activity is the patients and the family. So we need to change this one. So basically, it's a change reactions. That is the central government to the state government to the hospitals to the transplant coordinator, and then each hospital makes its own interpretation and rules, and the document needs to be provided. And across India, you have a different rules and regulations. I have spoken to a number of hospitals in not only in Gujarat, in Bombay, in Andhra Pradesh, in Tamil Nadu, in Goa, and everybody has given me a different version. So my request to would be to basically the government of India to take care of this and basically streamline this process and make the necessary changes in the organ transplant rules and regulations, rather than the changes, but basically give more explanations and clarify the certain terms, certain gray areas, and standardize all these document requirements across India. So you do not have to do this ones. Now, the and at the end of the day, I'm personally, as a lawyer, when I started receiving the different answers and different replies from the doctors and coordinators and hospitals, when I started looking into this one, I saw that the law is made with very good intentions, but when it is given to the different people for the uh, interpretations, and interpretation is becoming difficult for everybody. And that's the reasons I have personally, with the help of the one organizations, we are looking into the possibilities that what further can be done in this matter. So if you like this video, do not like it. I'm not looking for a liking and subscribe. Please listen to this video carefully and pass on to your friends and relatives and other peoples, and create an awareness about this organ transplants rules and regulations. And if you need any help, if you need any explanations or any help, it would be free of charge. It would be completely free of charge. I'll be more than happy to answer and guide you. My number is there, 9974253030. My email address is there, info@ajmeralaw.com. Send me an email and I'll be more than happy to answer, whether you are in Gujarat or any part of in India. If you are there and if you need an help with these legal complexities to overcome in the organ transplant and the donations act and rules and regulations, I'll be more than happy. My interest and my vision is to look at it that to create the awareness not amongst the patient and the families, but to create the awareness about this act and rules amongst the legal fraternity, advocates in every states and every high court, every district court should be aware of this one so they can help the patients, their friends and relatives whom they might be aware of it and who might need this help. Based on this ones, if we create an enough awareness, then it would be a lot easier for the organ transplant recipient patients and their family. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.